Welcome to the online teaching ministry of Pastor Rob Ginter and Farmdale Baptist Church. For more content, visit us online at farmdalebaptist.com.
A lot of people had asked me, I come over here so you can see my shoes, about my why they don't match. The short answer is I'm in my 40s, and some workouts gone awry. But I think there's a big lesson for why I'm hobbling around in a boot. And it's that just because you can do something, it doesn't mean you should do something. And it's just more evidence that goes in that column of just because you can do it, doesn't mean that you should do it. Just because you can do P90X in your 40s, doesn't mean you should do P90X in your 40s. At your weight, you know? And I think a lot of life is figuring out just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And that's particularly relevant here in 1 Corinthians. Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Because last week we looked at that apart from God, everything is meaningless. And there's an automatic pushback that could come from us to be like, well, maybe you just haven't tried the right stuff yet. That's poor people talk. You don't just be content with what you have, where you are in life. That sounds like a loser mentality of somebody that doesn't have a lot of things and a lot of aspirations. Just be okay with where you are right now. And that's the pushback from apart from God, everything is meaningless, is maybe you haven't tried these things. Maybe you haven't done these things. Maybe you haven't filled yourself up on these things over here. So Solomon begins in chapter 1, verse 20 to refute that biographically. To say, I have made it. All the things you're chasing after, I caught them. Let me tell you what they did for me. Nothing. So it is the goal, right? If you read this or heard me read this at the beginning, that you would stop running after things and receive from God. That you'd stop running and start receiving. Why? Because the main point that we see in this text is that meaning is not found, meaning is given. What matters is not something you could catch, but something that you receive. That's the difference. And Solomon takes us down this road to understanding that we need to stop running and receive. Because beginning in verse 12, he tells his own story as both preacher and king in Jerusalem, and lets us know that from the deepest place of him, he set it to search for wisdom. Everything that's done down here under the sun. And you just imagine what he's experienced, what he caught that he chased after. And what does he say about it? It's not good. It's not good. God has given us all this busyness and it's vanity. If you look at in the scriptures in verse 14, I've seen everything that's done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity, a striving after wind. A striving after wind. That's the word picture. It's like you trying to catch the wind, put it in a jar, and keep it. And if you're foolish enough to go and try to catch the wind, you'll be winded yourself. It sounds silly, but Solomon says that your pursuits in life are like that. You go, that's silly. No one would go chase after the wind. He's saying that you do. He's saying that I do. Nobody would have a wind collection. He's saying that you have one. He's saying that I have one. So the idea and the goal of the text that there would be a ceasing of the wind chasers in this room. And he tells us why. And the problem is that we try hard under the sun or apart from God. That's the definition of life under the sun, is a godless life, an honest look at how things are without God in the equation in the here and now. And he says that life like that is a mist, it's a vapor. It's short and it's hard to hold on to. And when you think you have it, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. He addresses short and meaningless lives. And you might say, life is like chasing after the wind. You just haven't caught the right thing yet. Solomon tells us that he caught it. But all of this pursuing is disastrous in our life. It's absolutely disastrous in our life. We think that this feeling of emptiness means that, and this stirring means that we need a different job or a different spouse or more in the bank account. That's what it does. That's what this does for us. But the truth is that meaning's not found in your bank account. Meaning's not found in your spouse. Meaning's not found in your house. Meaning is given. We see that Solomon is not a writer who's just inexperienced. Maybe he hadn't caught the right things. Maybe he's just poor and discontented in his life, so he's just trying to be okay with being poor and not having a lot. No. Verse 16, he said, I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me. And my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. Verse 17, and I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this is also a striving after wind. So meaning cannot be found in a pursuit of wisdom. A pursuit of wisdom. He's not naive. Verse 14 says he's seen it all. Here in verse 16, he's acquired great wisdom, more than anyone before him. He said he poured who he was into being able to tell the difference between being wise and being a fool. That's what he did. You can pursue wisdom, and that's not it. Wisdom is a wind collection. Wisdom is a wind collection. And he tells you why. Verse 18, for in much wisdom is much vexation. He who increases knowledge increases sorrow. He says, I have surpassed everyone before me, and I hate all of this. And I don't have to go very far to show you how that you don't just need more information than what you have right now. Probably buzzing right there in your pocket is all the libraries that this world holds just one click away. It's all there. And you brought it with you. You brought it with you in your pocket. And you'd think if we just knew more. The 24-hour news cycle, you know what's going on. You feel better because of it? Are you better? Are you better off because you know? No. It didn't do it for us, did it? It didn't add meaning to our life. It made us in turmoil earlier, quicker, faster, more. That's what's happening. The more time we spend with knowledge, social media, we compare ourselves to others, the more envy we have, the more empty we feel, the more anxious and sadder you become, because how awful is this place that we're standing upon as it spins? I know you know it, I know you feel it, I know you see it, that education is not the answer. Education is not the answer. More knowledge of world affairs is not the answer. The more you know, the worse it gets. That's what he says in verse 18. So the pursuit of wisdom is not where we find meaning. And if you can't be the smartest kid in class, what about being the funnest? I don't know if I really had the option for the first one. So I tried the second one. Probably succeeded a little bit. Solomon keeps looking. In chapter 2, verse 1, he said, I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. But behold, this also was vanity. So meaning can't be found in the pursuit of wisdom, and neither in the pursuit of pleasure. According to chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. What else is wind collection? Not just your knowledge, but your pleasure. You can't find meaning in it. One important caveat here is just because you know more doesn't mean that what you know matters and doesn't add any meaning to your life. And just because you experience more and something pleases you, that doesn't mean that it matters. Just because you like it doesn't mean that what you like matters. I mean, in an ultimate sense. Just because it pleases you doesn't mean it adds anything to your life. That's what we see here in the text. Solomon is talking to himself. He said, maybe I should enjoy life. But that's also vanity. But wait a minute, how did he seek pleasure though? That's in verses 2 and 3. He tried to keep things lighthearted and investigated the use of substances. I really struggle to be the person that he tried to be in keeping things lighthearted. But you see what's happening here is like, if you can't, I'm going to try to laugh to keep from crying. I'm going to use a coping mechanism of humor. That's what he's doing. The answer to avoiding coming to grips with how short and meaningless life is to just have fun and laugh. Here's what he says. Laughter is mad. So what's the use of pleasure? What can you really do with all the fun that you have? It's all over, and then you got to have more of it, and then you got to have more of it, and then it's just over. And then you got to have more of it. You know what would make it a lot more fun? The use of substances. That's the argument he puts out here. Maybe that's what it is. Verse 3. I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine. You know what will help me relax? There you go. My heart's still guiding me with wisdom and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. He tries substances that might make things a little bit easier to cope here. Maybe wine could change a meaningless life. Maybe alcohol could fix it. Maybe that would do it. Maybe that would make some things matter, or at least dull me from the things that don't. You tried that. And how many of us are addicted and have family members who are, because that's what they did too? Right? Like that's you tell a joke, try to cope. Tells a joke, tries to cope. It's all meaningless. None of those work. He's saying, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Right? Like, I mean, the statistics are crazy for how many people you meet who are actually an alcoholic. It doesn't work. Solomon, been there, done that. It didn't do it. It didn't do it. So he's telling us ahead of time that this isn't going to do it for you. Don't just make light of everything. Don't just try to make your life lighter like this. That's what he's saying. Tried pleasure through laughter, pleasure through substances, and it's futile. It didn't do anything for him. So meaning can't be found in the pursuit of wisdom. It can't be found in pleasure. And then verses 4 through 8, it can't be found in possessions. He begins to list all the things he accumulated for himself. Houses, vineyards, gardens, parks. How many of y'all, you looking at this list and you're like, I have a house. Some of you all maybe have more than one house. I don't know. Maybe you have a vineyard. Who knows? How many parks y'all got? You know, like forests, pools, multiple generations of servants. What he's saying by this is that you're probably poorer than him. But he's saying it doesn't matter. Because if you were as rich as him, that would be a wind collection. That's what that would be. That would, like, he has multiple generations of servants. Like, so he's got what they call that old money, right? Like, he's got servants, and they've got servants and kids. It might be a different culture, but it's not a different world. And we chase what's happening here in verses 4 through 8. That is a wind collection. And we try to make it fancier this way. And I'm not saying that all of these things aren't temptations for all of us. Specifically, the high that you get off of something new. Of the ring on the doorbell on the front buzzes and Amazon has dropped something off. Or in my world, grocery day. Like there's like a high that you get from, talking about substances, you know what I mean? Like there's a high that you get on grocery day. Because you're like, look at all this salami, you know? Like, this is eating good in the neighborhood. Like it does something to us, and he's saying that like, then you just got to have another grocery day. Then you just got to have another one. In fact, here's what I do. We do it. We get groceries. Then I started taking inventory of stuff we didn't get. I'd be like, all right, well, we need, So I make up my backup grocery list. I don't know if y'all do double layered listings. Like you go through the first go and you come home and you go, mayonnaise. That's what we're missing. He's saying if you got everything, possessions-wise, that is a wind collection. Though we're tempted to do that. And so we get a high off of getting things new and shiny. And he's saying that that's not going to do it for you. It feels good in a moment, but it's gone. It's gone, and then you got to do it again. You got to do it again. So we get a bunch of stuff in our house, and we have a garage, maybe, and the stuff in our house doesn't fit in our house, so then we need a garage to store the stuff that doesn't fit in our house. And then we park our car in the driveway, and we got our stuff in the garage, and we got the stuff in the house, stuff in the garage, car in the driveway, and we go, we need a storage unit. So you go to the closets, to the garage, you fill the closet up, you fill the garage up, you fill the garage up, you fill the storage unit up. And then what do? We get stuff for Christmas. You get something for Christmas, and it's all of a sudden a problem. Because it's got to go somewhere. And then we got the house, and then we got the garage, and we got the storage unit. So what do? We just get like a storage unit, backup storage unit for the storage unit that we have? Like, what do we do there? What do we do? We can't get rid of anything because what if we would need it? And then what are you going to do when you need it and you got rid of it last week? So we pad our lives, and we by padding our garages and padding our storage units, and we just got all this stuff, but we can't ever get enough. Can't ever give anything away because we might need it. But Solomon tested this. I assume he had the Middle Eastern version of warehouses. Based on if you read like all the stuff that came in, he didn't have a garage and a storage room. No. Like, we need to build a new Walmart over here just to keep his stuff in. He's testing this principle, and maybe we are too, to find that our life isn't a matter of our possessions. You get the wrong phone call, you're not going to your garage to find hope. You struggle in your marriage, you're not going to the storage unit. Tragedy strikes, you look at that stuff and you don't care about any of it. Tragedy strikes and you go, none of this matters. Tragedy strikes and with deathbed clarity, you see Solomon's perspective and you go, none of this stuff really matters, does it? He's saying it like you need to make those evaluations right now. Don't wait. Don't wait for the cancer call or the heart attack call. Don't wait on that. Look at it now and don't hold it with a white-knuckled grip. Realize none of it matters because meaning can't be found in our possessions. And you all know this and you've experienced it when you've lost loved ones because you've had to go through their house. And then you not only have the stress of what are you going to do with all your stuff, you have a loved one pass away, you have to walk through all their stuff and you go, what am I going to do with all of their stuff? I don't know what to do with all of their stuff. I don't want any, I want a couple things, but I don't, they loved all of these things. I don't have anywhere to put their stuff because I've got my stuff. So you're walking through a house after a funeral, you see that it's the person you miss because you still have their stuff and it's not filling the hole of the person that you're missing. You see it there. He's testing this principle and showing us that this isn't working and it's not enough. That the stuff that we have doesn't matter. Verse 8, I gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women. And then the second half, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. Not only in pleasure and possessions, but also physical intimacy. You see, that's what he's referring to here. And Solomon had something that none of the men in this room have, nor should you want. Look at his life. He had all he ever wanted of physical intimacy because if wife 36 wasn't interested, he'd go on to 37 and he'd go all the way to 40 if he had to. He had as much as he wanted of physical intimacy. He would just go on to the next wife, move on down. He had as much as he wanted. And you know what? He said, that's a wind collection. That is a wind collection. That's what he's saying. The concubines, the delight of the Son of Man. He's saying that doesn't do it for you either. Now, before you're like, well, he shouldn't have done that. Yeah, absolutely. All of the hundreds of wives. But if you look at his life in the other book that he wrote, Song of Solomon, you see he didn't hate physical intimacy, did he? It was actually a good thing. So if you look down the list, if you're surveying the list, he's not saying that all of these things are bad things. Some of these are good things. But what he's saying here is they're good things, don't make them God things. That's what it is, right? The delight of the sons of man. Like there's delight in that. So he had all of the physical intimacy with his many wives. And what else did he have? Going down the list here of wind collections, accomplishments and accolades. Verse 9. So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. He had accomplishments. Everything his eyes saw that his heart's desired, he took, and it gave him pleasure, but it was all vanity. It was useless. He had all he ever wanted, and it didn't do it for him. This was his verdict in verse 11. Then I considered all that my hands had done and the toil that I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and a striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. So he pursued wisdom, pleasure, possessions, And it's all futile, smoke, vapor, and chasing after the wind. There's not really a whole lot to be gained by it, and it was useless. Useless. These are all the wind collections. And let me tell you what he thought about it all. Look at verse 17. He says, "So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me. For all is vanity and a striving after wind." Have you ever said, "I hate my life. I hate my life"? Have you ever said that? Have you ever thought of that? Thought about that? That is the conclusion he gets after trying all of these things without God in the picture. He lived a life of lavish luxury that he absolutely couldn't stand. And he hated it. And if you're a Christian in this room that hates your life, it likely means you might have been walking down the same path, trying the same things, trying to get meaning and purpose from the here and now. It will lead you to absolute despair and the hating of your life. You want to hate your life? Live it under the sun. Live it under the sun. Just inundate yourself with the here and now. Chase after possessions. Build your bank accounts. Seek after physical pleasure. Chase the money, sex. Do all of those things. So in the end, you look back on it and you hate it. That's what Solomon did. That's what Solomon did. He hated it. I don't know if this is this moment or him just looking back on it and the pain of it all. I'm not sure. Why? Because he was running. He was running, chasing after things. And when he caught them, it didn't do it for him, because meaning cannot be found in the pursuit of wisdom, pleasure, and possessions. Because meaning can't be found. You might find that the fountain of youth, you won't find meaning in life under the sun. And if you think that you have found meaning under the sun, just wait. If God opens your eyes, you'll see that none of it really matters. Because meaning cannot be found, because meaning is given from God. Go with me to verse 24, chapter 2. "There's nothing better for a person than he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. For this also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy." You see the difference here? The person who is chasing something hates their life, who's running after it. The one who goes to God and receives, they get joy. They get joy. That's the two contrasts here of the evaluations of life. One person hates their life, and the other person has joy. Because if you look there in the verse, Solomon says he's looking to God, for apart from him, God, who can eat or have enjoyment? For the one who pleases him, God. So you seek to please God. God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy. Joy you weren't even looking for. Joy that you weren't even looking for comes from God, because you seek God, and not meaning found in the pursuit of wisdom, pleasure, and possessions. Meaning is given from God. So he pulls back the veil finally in verse 24, telling us where meaning comes from. It's from the hand of God. There's nothing better than to eat and drink and find enjoyment in work that comes from God. So wait a minute. I thought you said you were talking about pleasure and eating and drinking, substances. And here he goes again to say, there's nothing better, in verse 24, for a person than he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. Pay real close attention to that next sentence in verse 24. This also, is he going to say is meaningless? No. He doesn't say that this time. He says, this also I saw is from the hand of God. So there we go. That's why anything matters, is because it comes from God. So therefore, with God and in God and through God, you can enjoy eating and drinking and physical pleasure and being with people as it comes from the hand of God. So you should be able to enjoy a steak. You should be able to enjoy physical intimacy with your spouse. Go apply the sermon, do that. Do both those things. You have biblical warrant. And not because those are God things or have meaning in them themselves, but no. Those things come from the hand of a good God. Enjoy them as from Him. Your spouse, enjoy your spouse because your spouse is from God. Don't make your spouse God. Don't make your kids God. Enjoy your spouse, enjoy your kids because they come from the hand of God. Enjoy these things from Him, not in His place. No, enjoy these things from God. They are not God. Pursue wisdom, yes, for the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Yes, pursue pleasure in God and from God. For in His presence is the fullness of joy, and at His right hand are pleasures forevermore. And it's okay to have stuff and not get in line with the guy with the cardboard sign outside a Longhorn. The application of this text is not to go sell everything you got and go get that cardboard sign and go stand behind that guy and be like, me too, I heard Ecclesiastes this morning. Scoot over. I need this sidewalk. I read Ecclesiastes. No. It means that we can have things, but we can honestly evaluate these things as from God. Everything we have is from God. Meaning is given from God. The possessions that we have come from the hand of God. They can be enjoyed, not worshiped, but enjoyed as they come from God. These are just samples of God's good gifts. What spoils them is our hunger for them more than God. That's what spoils good things. It's how much we want good things more than we want God. So it just spoils them. But what He does is He takes us through these things and He says, I've had these things and I've had more of these things, and they don't give me the meaning. They don't make my life matter. They don't give me purpose. No, they're like a wind collection dressed in a really fancy jar. You see, what matters and what means something and the purpose that we have in life all comes from the hand of God. For the one who pleases Him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. Do you want joy? Don't pursue joy. Seek to please God. Because you have the Holy Spirit. And use Solomon's words as an adjustment in your soul to stop chasing after all of these things that don't matter. And the one who pleases Him, God gives joy to. He's the one we want to please. You notice that there's two pleasures here, right? There's two pleasures. First, Solomon tries to please himself, and he was neither pleased nor happy. Then seeks to please God, and he has wisdom and knowledge and joy. So it's almost like Solomon was trying to please himself, and he hated his life, and he got neither happiness nor pleasure. And life was under the sun. And then he got his eyes above the sun to God, sought to please God. He got pleasure that he didn't know he was looking for. It's almost like that he was pleased, finally, here in verse 26, only because he sought to please God. But a lot of us look like these two things are separate pursuits. We could either please ourselves or please God. Like those two things are separated. No, we see pleasure, wisdom, and knowledge in God That is what he gets. So what happens at the end of this chapter, chapter 2, our eyes are turned Godward to focus on him. And it's in that we ourselves receive what we have always been looking for. That's what we see here at the end. God is the one that we should please, instead of being anxious about pleasing ourselves. Jesus asked, why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. God clothes the grass of the field that's here today and gone tomorrow. What makes you think that he's not going to take care of you? What makes you think that you pursuing pleasing obedience to God because of what he has done for you in Jesus Christ is going to leave you empty? And that God is stingy in that way. The conclusion of Solomon is that life shouldn't be about what you can gather, but what God gives. You see, God isn't stingy. He could do better for Solomon than Solomon could do for himself. And that's the same way with you. God isn't stingy. He is holy, set apart, and different from his creation, who from Genesis 3 onward decided to try to make themselves happy apart from God. And that led them to despair and misery. And God knows that we will not be happy apart from him. We will never have true everlasting pleasure apart from God. God knows that our true joy is only in him and never apart from him and never a pursuit outside or away from him. He knows that about all of us. So what did God do? God loved the world that was trying to make themselves happy apart from him. And he gave them his only Son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. He commands in that regard too for us to stop running after possessions, justifying our existence, and being good enough, because we could never be. We could not have achieved something that pleases God by our own works. For he told us, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and we did not. So for us to be with God forever, it has to come not from something that we achieved, but something that we have received. Not something that we could run after and chase down, but something we receive by faith. So that's the good news of the gospel, not something that you can run down and chase and achieve with your own goodness, but what God has done for you in Jesus Christ that you could never, ever in a million years do for yourself. Solomon's pursuit is just a picture that we are people who are in need of grace, as opposed to being people who are good enough and accomplished enough to stand before a holy God, when we could never do that. Therefore, we should stop running and receive the grace of God in Jesus Christ. That's what it is. Not how good could you be, what has God done? If you're not a Christian, you need to receive salvation that you couldn't accomplish. If you are a Christian, look at Solomon. Look at him. Do you have these wind collections sitting around the house with possessions, with power, accolades, pleasure? Do you have these? I'll tell you how it looks when you have these wind collections. You hate more of your life than you have joy. You hate more of your life. You hate these things. You only hate them because you want too much from them that they cannot provide. You want more than it's giving. right? You are completely let down by these things. What always lets you down? All of these things that you place in your life as an idol. He's telling us here that he got them and it didn't work. And that God is not stingy. What God gives you is the only things that matter. And everything you have is from God. So do you want joy? Stop chasing the wind. You want joy? Stop putting these wind collections on your shelves. Stop it. Do you want joy? To stop hating your life? Repent to the realization that everything you have is from the hand of God. That's how you can actually enjoy the things you have, is putting them in perspective with the God who gave them to you. All of this is from his hand. Let's pray. Father, our life is from your hand. Everything we have is from you. I pray that you would change our perspectives, change the way we think about things, possession, the pursuits that we have. Because we want joy. We don't want to look at our life with dread. No, we want joy. But this verse tells us that means we want you. That's where it's found. It's in you. Everything we need is in you. Convince us of that. Call us out from the attitude that believes you're too stingy to give us good things. Show us the good things that you have given us that we might be grateful people. In Jesus' name, amen.